Welcome to the One Hand at a Time podcast. I'm your host, Chris Welton, and today I have a very special guest, someone who I've had the opportunity to work with the last several months. And I wanted to bring him on today to be able to just share some insights, some stories on why he's been able to create such a successful business at such a young age. And then we'll talk about where we're headed to next. What's the big dream? What we're gonna do at this point? What are we moving forward to? So at this time, I'd like to welcome Jackson Brower to the show.
Chris, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, dude, my pleasure. 100% my pleasure. So, all right. So I'll give a backstory. I have a really great client of mine out of Florida that I've done a lot of stuff with and building some brands and stuff with him and helping us grow his company. And I believe Jackson heard him on a podcast and reached out to him. And PJ told Jackson that he should talk to me about being a coach. Is that how we met? Is that right?
It was through PJ, but what I had actually done was I went on the Scotsman Guide and I looked up the top 100 producers in the United States, and I started calling through the list. And PJ's father is one of those guys, so he picked up the phone. We had a good conversation. He said, "Hey, you remind me a lot of someone that I know." So he connected me to, PJ the third, I believe. And we spoke. I said, "Wow, this guy knows a whole lot more than I do." And he said, "Well, a lot of it's because of my coach." And that's how you and I got connected. Yeah. So just cold calling the Scotsman Guide to try to get a little bit smarter.
Yeah. Think about that. People that are listening to this, it amazes me. There's so much opportunity out there to try to connect with people that are on a higher level or just to try to get some insight and have conversations. And they're too afraid to take action and do it. Like, it's the same with, it's funny how I met PJ was he went to a couple different Facebook groups and said, "Hey, who should I talk to as a coach?" And he got like 15 different names. And he literally started calling all these individuals. And I was one of them. We had a conversation. He narrowed it down to 4 people, and then he narrowed it down to 2 people, and they ended up choosing me. And I coached the president of their company as well, all because of that conversation. But that's because he took action and knew he needed something else to get into the next level. Just like you wanted a roadmap of what it takes to get to the next level. And that's why you started calling people in the Scotsman Guide. Hey, what do they do differently? What can I do? And what I love about that, we had a conversation, we'll get into great detail about our call yesterday, but a little bit is like, there's not much difference between people who are doing a good job and the people that are crushing it. There's not much difference. The difference is the belief. The difference is taking consistent action every single day to grow and do better. And that's one of the things I like about you, Jackson, is I know when we go through things and I challenge you on the calls, when we come back next week, you've got the work done. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference. That's why you're crushing it. That's why you're doing so many big things. I did a Freestyle Friday recording this morning, and I got very bold with my listeners. And I said, look, it's not the market that's keeping you from succeeding. It's you. You're the reason why you're not winning. Just get over it. Like, you're the reason. You're not doing the things that need to be done. You're not taking consistent action. You're not pivoting. You're not finding new things to bring to market. And that's why you're losing. So I want to get into that piece. What I really liked about that is you jumped in the Scotsman Guide, you went after it. But how have you done the same thing with building referral partner relationships?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people have great ideas. It is just about taking action, and it's really not rocket science. It's about meeting people. The first opportunity that I ever got, it came from bringing donuts to an office and just walking in. I literally Googled real estate office near me. I'd been out of college 2 weeks at this point. I showed up and the sign said something different. There was a shared office space. It said Gather instead of Keaton and Company. But I called and said, "Hey, this is who I am. I came by with donuts. Would it be okay if I dropped them off and then I could just leave?" And the person at first said, "No, but we have these trainings on Tuesday and you can come back." I said, "Okay, that's fair. I'm not going to eat a dozen donuts. Can I just give them to you?" And I'll literally just go. But they let me come back. I met an agent there that day who had a VA deal that was falling apart. And we found a way to get it done. But what I was doing before then was I was listening to a podcast. I think it's good to get new ideas, but just go do something. Just go meet someone. It's not rocket science, and you're not going to need to have it perfect. But I just say, if you have an idea, you don't need 100 of them. Just take action on whichever one you think is going to be best.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And the key there is the action. Everybody wants to do big things, but show me what your calendar looks like with the actions you're going to take. And I think that's where it's a huge difference maker. But I'm just curious, why did you have no fear about just walking into a random office?
It's not that there's no fear. I was scared. Yeah, no, I was totally scared. I mean, but Myron Golden has an interesting quote on, fear isn't valid because you're not necessarily in danger. Like if I'm playing golf and there's an alligator 3 feet from my ball, that's fear. Like you're scared, like you could die. Really, what you have is doubt. And doubt is the opposite of hope. Doubt is visualizing an outcome other than the one that you want. Hope is visualizing the outcome that you want. But no, I'm scared. Like when I cold call people, I'm still scared. I just count to three and do it. It's like I don't know if Steve O would be the best ambassador for mortgages, but that's what he talks about when he does a crazy stunt. Just 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. So let's go back in a little bit to the golf thing. You're a great golfer. We talk about that on a lot of our calls on where that is. How do you take the discipline of becoming a great golfer and then transfer that over to the discipline as far as being an incredible loan originator?
I would say that the biggest thing in common with both of those items is that you're going to have to think and act differently to get better. That's one of the first questions that you ever asked me. Like, do you need to think and act differently to get better? And it's really easy to stay at a 10 handicap if you're not changing your swing. Like you gotta do something different. Maybe you gotta get out there with an alignment stick and make sure you're swinging from the inside. Now, if we talk about that in the loan world, you gotta think and act differently. Maybe right now you're not calling the last, agents that you've done a deal with in the past 2 years to just ask how they're doing and tell them about a new product. So if you're not happy with your results, you're going to have to change the way you think and you're going to have to change the way you act, or else nothing's going to change.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And so many people want these different results, but they want to keep doing what they did last year. Mm-hmm. And we know that's not what's going to keep you winning. Changing the way you think about what the opportunities are in the market instead of the things holding you back is a massive shift, right? It's a paradigm shift. We have to understand that, again, just like I said, think and act differently to get where you want to go. So I work with a local high school football team, and I was talking to them yesterday, and what I said was, start thinking and acting like you're a state champion. Mm-hmm. We're 6-1. We got a chance to finish the season 8-1 and go deep into the playoffs. But what if you started thinking and acting now like you were already a state champion? How different would you show up? And I think that that's such a key in the mortgage space. You want to be $100 million, $200, $300 million producer. Why don't you start thinking and acting now what a $100 million producer would do every day, instead of chasing your tail and hoping that somebody calls? I had somebody tell me yesterday, I'm ready for the refi boom. I'm ready for when rates get lower. I'm like, okay, what are you doing right now? Like, what if it never comes? What if it never comes, right? Like, what are we doing now to grow our business regardless? And that's what I want to ask you about. We talked yesterday. You're having a great year. I'll have you share some things about that in a minute, but you're really on track to have a really great finish in the fourth quarter to your year. But what are you doing to get more of your normal business? I know you have a great builder account, but outside that, what are you doing to get more of your own business that you're doing yourself? And because we're seeing that, numbers of contracts are coming in. So what have you done different right now this quarter than you did the previous year?
Yes, and I'm going to try to be as specific and tactical as possible in this answer, because one thing that I don't love about podcasts sometimes is there's just like a lot of generality. I think it's good to get a couple of new ideas, but I want you to, anyone listening to this call, I want you to actually be able to go out and do this. So Matt Weaver and Champagnozian, those are two of the top loan originators in the United States, as is a guy named JJ Mazzo. All three of them talk about the importance of doing events, speaking from one to many realtors. So I'm going to give one specific example of an event that I did and walk you through how I did it step by step. So step one is find out a problem that the real estate community is facing or an opportunity that they're looking for. You can do that by calling your agents. Just like, hey, if I did an event on something in your business, what would you want to hear and talk about? The overwhelming answer that I got the first time I did it was social media. I want to know how to use Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get more deals. From there, I found 3 agents who their number one lead source was social media. 2 of them I was already working with. One I wasn't, but I used the agents to find out who was good at different platforms. So my friend Carrie was great on Instagram. My friend Anna was great on Facebook. And I asked them, hey, who's good on YouTube? We found the guy that was good on YouTube. We had our free speakers. I went to a granite company. They get a lot of their business from realtors. And I said, hey, can we host our event here? And would we be able to use the space for free? They said, sure. So what we did then was we created a flyer. We created a social media post to promote the event. We called it Amplify 2025, clicks to contract, something like that. And the agents who hosted the event actually did all the marketing for me. I did it too, but I got to meet their network. That was the most valuable thing for me. So it took about a month to market it. We had about 60 people sign up, 50 people show up. I kind of emceed the whole thing. And at the end, I did a call to action where if you scan the QR code, you were going to be put in this group chat where we were going to hold each other accountable to posting once a day. And I got maybe 3 or 4 new agents from that. So what I'm going to start doing is doing an event like that once a month, and then also doing something fun once a month. I did another event where we rented out a pickleball court. Similar thing, agent who was passionate about pickleball, he invited everyone in his office and showed up. And then I also go to team meetings and speak to team meetings about once a month, and that's a little bit more tactical on loan types, winning with first-time buyers, winning with first-time sellers. But if you guys were going to do anything immediately after this call, I'd recommend hosting your first event. You can do it for free. You can get insurance companies to help sponsor it and title companies to help sponsor it if you want food and drinks. I didn't have any. It worked out great. But yeah, one-to-many is my strategy moving forward. And then use those opportunities to get one-on-ones. That's still where the real magic happens, but they know who you are from this one-to-many. You call the list afterwards. Hey, we'd love to sit down and talk about your social media strategy. And that's how you meet people, and meeting people's how you win.
I love that strategy. I'm a big backer in that strategy. I've been talking about that for a long time. And I think that what even in my industry, from the coaching space, being on a stage in front of 500 or 1,000 people is a great way to build and to go after business, right? To get in front of more people. Now, my one thing I want to make sure they're clear of is that the event is not the win. The event is a great piece to get there, but the event is just a way to get the introduction. Then you have to have a call to action, and then you have to be consistent with your follow-up afterwards. So many people are struggling right now because they're not doing the follow-up. They're not making the calls. They're not going after it after the fact. Let's have a great event. That's great. Chances of you closing anybody at the event are few and far between. But now you can get past the gatekeeper to get the meetings that you want to get. So I want to make sure people really dial that in and go after that. Now, what I like to have is a massive call to action. And then you and I talk about this. What's the definition of success from this event, right? Like what are we trying to accomplish? And we be clear when we go in. Because so many people go, well, I want to get 10 new referral partners from this event. Okay, well, at the event that happening, probably not going to happen. And if you go in with the wrong mindset of what you're trying to accomplish, then you're going to be down on yourself after the event, and you're not going to follow up because you feel like you failed. You didn't fail. Get the people in the room, right? And your first event, you're going to be so bad at it, it's going to be hysterical. Like the first time you took a 1003, it's going to be really bad, right? So just get the people in the room, get excited about it. I love the fact that we're making it a non-negotiable. We're doing it every month now because we know what that does. Mm-hmm. Here's the cool thing about one of the guys you mentioned. He's a good friend of mine, JJ Mazza. JJ Mazza runs a $2 billion region. $2 billion region is what they do a year. Okay. And he still does one-to-minis. Now he does them on a different level because he's got a bigger budget than he used to have. Like he flew me out recently to speak to this group of one-to-many, right? I'm not saying you have to do that, but JJ's at that level now. He doesn't have to do those anymore. He's got enough business. He doesn't have to do it, but he continues to do it, continues working that muscle. He doesn't get seduced by the success. He keeps using the plays that have helped him win in any market. So this strategy will help you win in any market, but don't stop doing it when you get busy. Don't stop doing it if you have a bad meeting. You got to do it consistently. It's got to be something you do over and over and over and over again. Another friend of mine, Gavin Ekstrom, he's a massive producer as well. He does events every single month for realtors. Mm-hmm. Every single month, right? And I know what his numbers are and his personal income numbers. They're massive, but he doesn't stop. So how do you stay on track right now, this early in your career, Jackson, to make sure that you're going to just make it's a non-negotiable? I got to do this no matter what.
Time management would be the biggest thing when it comes to that. it's really easy to get bogged down doing a loan. JJ has another great quote where he says, there's a lot of money in getting loans, and he doesn't think there's going to be a lot of money in doing loans. And with AI, advancing, I kind of agree with that. But so I've been really fortunate to have two teammates join the Broward team. One helps out with contract to close activity. One helps out with pre-approvals upfront. And, that's, for me, it was a conversation with management, like, hey, once I get to a certain level, can I bring on this person? The first person I brought on was really experienced. The second person I brought on was brand new and green, but you need help to get to the next level. So I think that should be a goal for every originator. If you don't have an assistant, like, what level of production do I need to get one? And just have a very clear goal defined so you can show up to whoever the decision maker is and be like, all right, I did it. Let's get this person. So if you look behind me, I'm not going to move my camera around just in case of technical difficulties, but this is from the book Buy Back Your Time. It's called a drip matrix. So the quadrant looks like this. Basically, there's activities that give you energy and make you money, and there's activities that don't make you a lot of money and don't give you a lot of energy. Your goal is to delegate the activities that are low energy, low money first. Then you delegate the stuff that's low energy but high money, like taking a 1003. I'd say that's someone that's going to make us money. I just don't like doing the application myself. But yeah, that's how you do it. It's through teammates, and it's through help to help you out with the manufacturing of a loan, so you can focus on bringing in the loan. Rainmaking is the most fun part for me, and it's also the most valuable.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Being a customer facing or referral partner facing is where it's at. I mean, it's the one-to-many strategy. We love that. And I was told my first week as an originator, guy told me, he said, Chris, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh gosh. So my first hire as an originator was an assistant. I remember having to pay for it out of my pocket 100%. I paid her $10 an hour. She worked 25 hours a week for me. I really didn't have the money to do it, but I did it because she was able to take things off my plate, which helped me just have a massive first year in the industry, right? I invested in myself. And that first hire is always the scariest because you're committing to someone to support them outside of just supporting you. But it's a game changer for you. Like, I have an unbelievable assistant right now. I mean, we're breaking records every month right now. Why? Not because I'm just, well, partly because I'm doing a great job, but the other part is because I have more time to do the job. I'm not having to handle receivables and payables, and I'm not having to book my own airline flights and my own travel accommodations or check my email. I don't check my company email. I don't check it. So my assistant Taylor checks it. She goes through, finds out what needs to be done, comes back, puts it on a list, and we get it done. Right? That is a super winning strategy into the next level. So I know people are on here listening, or about 18 minutes in, and they're like, okay, I hear all this stuff, but what's Jackson doing? Like, I want to compare what Jackson's doing to what I'm doing, which we know comparison is the thief of joy, but there's a lot of people that want to compare. What was your volume for last year? What did you do volume-wise last year?
I did 43 million last year. And just for some more perspective, we have a builder account that we work with. So we're given those leads. So about 25 million of my business was self-generated, with the remainder being builder generated. You still have to work it, but it's not as hard to bring those in.
Right. And then what about this year?
So year to date, we're over 45 million, with about 38 of that being self-generated. We had some really big months to close out the year. So I'm going to knock on some wood, because we don't know if this stuff will get pushed into November. Stuff happens, but I currently have 29 loans that'll close in October for 8.6 million, with the majority of that being self-generated business. I think realistically, I end up somewhere between 60 and 70 million, just based off of October, November, December. So it's been a good year. And what's crazy about it too, Chris, is like, it's not that much harder for me now doing. It was actually harder for me to do 5 units a month than it is doing 30 units a month, because I had no help. Like, I was chasing down everything. I was on a golf course. I'd be crying because I'm with my family, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how am I ever going to do more than this? Like, once you get the help, it is actually easier to do more, which is crazy. Yeah. That longer answer than you needed there.
No. I love the answer. Thanks for breaking that down for me. So So the next question would be, and I'm sure the listeners are thinking this, besides the support, what else has changed this year to get you on the trajectory to 70 million?
Well, I'll give you big props to that. Having a coach it's super helpful. Just having dedicated time once a week to really think about your business and to talk to someone is huge. So if you don't invest in a coach, I'd strongly recommend doing it. You're going to get a better return there than unless you bought Bitcoin 10 years ago. That looked pretty damn good. Outside of that, you're going to get a really good return. Coaching is huge. Teammates are huge. If you were a loan officer, I'd definitely put coaching and an assistant at the top of your list if you don't have one now. With the exception of if you're doing less than 5 units a month. If you're doing less than 5 units a month, I'm sorry, you're just lazy. Like, love you, but you're just lazy. Just pick up the phone if you're doing less than 5 a month. You don't need a high IQ to do more than 5 a month.
Yeah, and I wish more people would hear that. First of all, thank you for the compliment. It's my, I love coaching and working with you, but thank you for the kind words. But if you looked at my P&L, my monthly P&L for my business, besides personnel, the next highest expense I have is my coaching. Mm-hmm. I'm coached by 2 different coaches, and I make sure that I stay involved with both coaches. I have a coaching call for an hour when I'm done with you with one of my coaches today. And I reinvest. I've been coached since 2005. All right, so that's 20 years I've been getting coached in the business side of things. And could I have done well without them? Yeah, I think so. I'm a pretty good salesperson. Mm-hmm. But could I be considered elite without them? I don't think so. Like, there's just the investment back into it. The cool thing is if you have skin in the game, you're more likely to do the activities that need to be done. And then you have someone else that's on the outside looking into your business and saying, hey, what about this? Oh, by the way, I've got another guy who does these kind of numbers. He does things a little bit differently. Have you ever thought about this strategy, right? Like, so that's one of the big things in that space. If you are looking to be coached, do a good job analyzing who you want to be coached and doing the interviews, who be coached by, but make sure your coach is coached. So many coaches I know that aren't coached anymore. Oh, I don't need to be coached anymore. Wrong. I think if you're a coach, you should be coached even more. And make sure they have a dedicated path to learning and getting better every day, right? You and I talk about this all the time, and you're a reader like I am. I read every single day to get better. Not because I like reading. I would much rather watch TikTok videos, right? Wouldn't you? Like 2 hours of TikTok instead of read. But I know that the reading prepares me to be better when I get on a call and someone can say something. Hey, I've had this. Oh, you know what? I've got a book over here. I've got a highlight. Okay, you know what? It's exactly what we went over today, right? Like literally. So today, this is so crazy. Today I was reading the Daily Stoic. And literally, tell me if this doesn't sound like me, Jackson. When the standards have been set, things are tested and weighed. And the work of philosophy is just this, to examine and uphold the standard, but the work of a truly good person is in using the standard when they know them.
Yeah, that's powerful. I get a message every day about standard, or not every day. A lot of them are standards based, and I think what's your bar? Like, what do you want to do? If I was going to talk about a couple of my standards, and this has always been from day one, I show up to the office 5 days a week. I wear a suit 5 days a week. I'm typically the last person to leave. Well, actually, my new trainee is giving me a run for my money. He's working hard. But if you're not where you want to be, I'd start with that. I'd start with, are you putting on a uniform every day to go to battle? Are you showing up every single day? That'd be a really easy place to start, and that's the bare minimum for standards. You can work your way up, but standards over feelings all day. There are days that I do not want to put on a suit. I would love to come into work wearing a t-shirt. No knock if you do wear a t-shirt, but yeah, you got to have your bar.
Yeah, but that's your standard. That's what you have set up. Like you know that you feel like you're going to perform your best in a suit. It's great. I have a feeling your dad wore suits most of the time when you guys were growing up. So That's the standard. Your dad was a very successful individual in the mortgage space. So you saw some of these things, right? You saw him wearing a suit and doing those things. So you're like, okay, well, that's my definition of success, and my standard is wearing a suit, right? I wore a suit for years. I don't have to wear a suit anymore. I do have to wear a suit next week in when I go to Caesar's Palace to speak next weekend. But, it's okay. I have plenty of nice suits. I just don't have to wear them to work every day anymore. But you're right. Having a standard, and the minimum standard is what you just talked about, was just actually showing up. The number of people I know in the mortgage and real estate business that don't actually work 40 hours a week and then they complain about the results they get is astonishing. Mm-hmm. Like, if you really put in 40 hours a week in these businesses, you would have to intentionally fail to not make it.
Yeah.
Like, you would. So I want to pivot a little bit too. Like, how has faith played in your journey right now? How has faith kept you on track, kept you dialed in with that? Because I've had some really good faith-based conversations over the last several months. And I would love for you to share some of that as well.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to go back to that first story and kind of go into some more details with it, right? So I show up with the donuts, but what had happened was, it was actually a couple of months later when I got the call about the client. So it was this veteran. He was under contract for a property. Some internet lender called him and said, "Hey, we no longer can do your loan. Sorry." I mean, this guy just had a baby girl, just got married. He really needed more space. And imagine that. You celebrate with all your friends and family. You tell them you're getting a house, and then someone calls you and says, "We can't do it anymore." So the agent comes to me, and we ended up having to do a VA manual underwrite. I had no idea what that meant, but a part of it is you got to verify employment and rent for 2 years. His landlord only had his fiance's name on the document. She signed all the paperwork. His previous landlord was in Florida, and they were no longer in business. We made about 70, I think the final count was 83 phone calls to both of those landlords to get what we needed. And it was a similar story for employment. He worked for some mechanics that didn't have the best paperwork. It's tough getting a VOE, but we got it done. And this was all just to get it submitted, reviewed. It wasn't like, "Hey, you do this, you're good." It's no, "Hey, you do this, you send it to the underwriter, and then you find out." And when the email came in our office, there was this song playing called "I'll Praise You in This Storm." And if you don't know the song, it's really sad, but it's all about having faith in God when times aren't that good. And I was like, hey, regardless of what this says, like, I'll have faith. I'll praise you in the storm, whether it's, accept or denied. But I opened it and it was accepted, and he got his home. But I've had situations like that, Chris, where I wasn't sure if something was gonna work. Like, there's so many times where you don't think something's gonna work out, and there's only so much that you can control, and you got to go to a higher power when you're out of control, right? So I sleep a whole lot better at night knowing that God's the one that's in control. I'm not. Like, when I have something going on in the loan, there's only so much that I can do, and it's really in His hands. So yeah, faith is. If you don't have faith at the center of your business, it's just too stressful of a business to do it on your own. Like, I think you need strength that doesn't come from yourself.
That's so powerful. I used to be so almost ashamed to ask for God's help in the business world. Like, I literally was, because I was doing well, but I was stuck in some spots. And then when I realized that He wanted to help, that I really needed to ask for the help, it changed everything. It really just changed everything for me. And I asked for help every day. Every day I talked to Him and asked for assistance to be a better leader on these phone calls, to bring value every time I get on with a client, to be what they need. I need His help to be what they need when I get on a call. And man, boy, once I realized that, my life has gotten a lot, I don't want to say easier, just more manageable, right? I don't want my life to be easy, but I like it to be more manageable.
Yeah, easy is tough because God cares a whole lot more about your character than your comfort. It sure would be nice if everything was easy. But yeah, it's the only way to grow, and He's going to put you in the fire. Like, He is going to put you in the fire. Be careful what you pray for. If you pay for patience, you will get a client that will give you some patience.
Yes.
But yeah, talking to God every day, and trying to instill some of those values in my team and some of the people that I work with. I mean, I owe everything to Him. All the success, all the money, it all just belongs to Him. It's just the power. The power comes through you. It doesn't come from you. And I forget that. And I try to live on my own a lot. I struggle a lot, but the more that I've lived by His word, the better things have gone.
I love it. All right. As we get ready to wrap up here, we talked about the one-to-many strategy. Is there anything else you'd tell somebody that's new in the business, that's starting out right now, or somebody who's been in the business a while, but now they're back to the numbers like they were when they first started?
I would challenge anyone that's listening to this call to just go get a box of donuts, knock on a real estate office, show up and meet some people. It's not rocket science. It's going to take a little bit of courage. You can reach out to me and I will pay for your donuts. If you're one of the first 5 people that does it, I will gladly pay for the dozen donuts. Don't overthink it. Just move.
I love that, man. Well, it's very kind of you to offer that. But I love it. It's the more hands you shake, the more dollars you make, right? Like it is a popularity contest, folks. To be honest with you, you need to be popular. You need to be top of mind with the people that are going to refer you business. But then you need to follow through and do the things you're supposed to do and live up to it. That's just the start. Just the donuts is just the start to build a relationship. Then it's on you to manage it and keep it flowing and keep it going. And the cool part is you get to a spot in your career that you can decide who you want to do business with and who you don't. Like, that's when you know you're at a level where you're bringing value. Is like, we don't have a value match, so I don't think we should do business together anymore. Like, it's not trying to be cocky or arrogant, but like, I should get as much from you as you get from me when we're referral partners. And I don't mean like units. I'm talking about growth, right? Like, I should enjoy the experience. I should enjoy working with you and spending time with you as well. So, all right. So if somebody wanted to connect with you, Jackson, over social media, what's the best way to follow you or connect?
You can find me at jackson.brower on all platforms. I'm mainly on Instagram, Facebook. You could text me or call me. My number is 571-340-4544. If you ever wanted to have a conversation about your business, your goals, I'm happy to share.
Yep. Well, you heard it, folks. He's here to help. He knows that giving back is part of it, and he has a roadmap for success. And we are just getting started. We're gonna finish this year strong, and then next year is going to be a 100 million plus year, and we have even bigger goals and ambitions along the way. Jackson and I communicate regularly outside of our coaching calls because I think it's important to be there and serve my clients at a high level, but be there when they need me. Right? Be there not just for that call. And Jackson and I do a great job of communicating along the way. So, Jackson, it's been a pleasure having you on here today. I can't wait to share your stories with my audience. And I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the One Hand at a Time podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode and were able to take away something that will help you elevate your career, business, or just your personal life in general. If by any chance you would like to take your journey even further than just this podcast, then please consider going over to chriswelton.live and potentially scheduling a time to work with Chris to develop the steps to help you get to the next level. If you also are interested in learning even more about Chris Welton, then please visit his Instagram or YouTube channel, One Hand at a Time. There are weekly uploads giving you a true glimpse at his life and all of the motivation and knowledge that he has to offer. Again, thank you for listening, and we hope to have you back on the next episode.